Hello, and welcome to Exploring Career and Technical Education, or CTE, in Manatee and Sarasota counties. Are you familiar with career education and what really is happening in our classrooms every day? You should be. It's exciting. So join us as we explore the world of CTE and how education and business and industry collaborate to better prepare our students for the 21st century workforce. Through hands-on career-themed learning, industry certifications, internships, and articulated credit, CTE creates a smooth transition from one educational institution to another and then transitions into success in the workplace. Join us each month as we travel from CTE programs in schools to business and industry and back into schools to discover the often unseen wonders of career and technical education. I'm your host, Carol Lewis, and on this, our first program, we've put together a panel of experts on CTE. These are the primary players on the educational side of CTE. We have Daisy Vulovich, the Associate Vice President, Corporate and Community Development at the State College of Florida. We also have Doug Wagner, the Director of Adult Career and Technical Education in Manatee County Schools, and Todd Bowen, Executive Director, Career, Technical, and Adult Education for Sarasota County Schools. Welcome to each one of you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Todd, I'm going to start with you. Career and technical education, it kind of comes with a concept, a preconceived idea, I think often. When I talk to parents about CTE, often I hear, well, my student is college bound. My kid doesn't need career education. What is CTE, career and technical education, and kind of dispel that myth for us a little bit?
Sure. Well, CTE is certainly about arming students with skills that they need to enter the workforce, but it's about so much more than that. We talk about college and careers, and what we want to do is make sure that students are exposed to a variety of careers and understand the training that is needed for each of those occupations. And so if our students are able to make decisions about what they want to do and the training needed to obtain that, in addition to obtaining those skills if they want to go directly to the workforce, we consider that a win for the student.
That's great. So that means that because, and Daisy, maybe you can answer this, if a student graduates from a CTE program in high school, does that necessarily exempt them? Do they stop there?
Oh, absolutely not. In fact, one of the things that's really exciting about what we do in career and technical education is a term that sometimes people don't necessarily understand, and that's called articulation. You know, I look at my colleagues from the two districts and I think, you know, you are our pipeline for students. And so one of the things that we do each year is we actually bring our faculty in different program areas together with instructors at the high school, at the tech institutes, and review our curriculum, recognizing that there are certain skills that students are already learning when they're at MTI or SCTI. So we don't want you to have to repeat that. We want to continue and build upon the foundation you're already bringing with you. So we have credits that we will already grant students. So when they come into State College of Florida, they may already have 6 credits, 9 credits of articulated credit. They don't have to start all over again. They can continue and build upon the skills that they already have. And then based upon what they're interested in, can really determine where they want to go. I think one of the biggest myths isn't so much about career and technical education, but I think sometimes about education in general, and that is, gee, I'm going to go to high school and then I'm going to graduate and then maybe I'm done. Or I'm going to go to college and then I'll really be finished with education and then I'm done. And really in this day and age, with the kind of technology that's going on, with the workplace needs, it truly is lifelong learning. And so we're all going to be cycling in and out of educational institutions throughout our lives. So whether it's getting a degree, whether it's getting a certificate, maybe it's going back and preparing for a different industry certification because my software or my machinery has changed. I think that's the norm. And of course, that's something that career and technical education is just so well suited to provide the resources and the education to get those kinds of trainings done.
Good, thank you.
Well, those are both great points, but let me say this, that also career and technical education here in Manatee County actually starts at the elementary level. So most people think about CTE as something that's at high school or middle school, but we've pushed it down to the elementary level, and we have 10 engineering labs here in Manatee County that actually expose students at a very young age, maybe starting at kindergarten level, to understand how to solve real-world problems. And they're solving it through the use of math and science to solve those hands-on problems. And so it's an exciting time that students actually are emerged starting in the kindergarten level and go all the way up through middle school, high school, and then through the post-secondary avenue. So CTE is something that happens continuously from kindergarten all the way past post-secondary.
Right,
and that's interesting that kind of activity is going on at the elementary level, because one of the things we've noticed for years, the college has had a summer program called Kids Summer Spectrum,
right.
and it's been geared toward primarily ages like 7 to 12. And one of the things that we were finding in some of the courses that we were offering was a greater interest in some of the science and technology related courses. So this past summer, we had a whole cadre of courses that were very much STEM, the science, technology, engineering, math-oriented courses, and those courses were filled up like that. So I think the exciting part is that students are seeing, the interest in those kinds of areas, and the fact that they're doing it at a younger age is only going to help us make even a better workforce as they go through their educational years.
I frequently hear the comment when you talk about elementary or middle school CTE programs, people will say, well, how can you expect an elementary or middle school student to know what they want to be when they grow up? But it's about exposing them to a wide range of things, stimulating an interest that may not be there previously. And somewhere along the way, you start to eliminate some things. When someone says, well, now I know I don't want to do that, I consider that one more step towards an ultimate career, is that, there's such a wide array of occupations out there. You start to eliminate those. But elementary and middle school CTE is not about specific career preparation, but it's about exposing students to a wide range of things and maybe hitting on something and stimulating an interest.
Good point.
That's good. You mentioned career interest, and I wonder how specifically, does anybody have a specific story about how a student may have stumbled into a career interest, or I know often they do like a wheel in the middle school areas where they experience different kind of career and technical education, and I think internships are another great way that students can either eliminate or find a career interest that kind of grabs them.
I think one of the things that that is important to know in the way careers in general are approached nowadays is, we're not going to have the same job for the next 20 years. We're going to be changing careers frequently, often based on the fact that we're a much more mobile society, and again, with the ever-changing needs of the workforce and the workplace. And so having the opportunity, whether it's at the elementary, the middle school, the high school level, at the college level, we have career exploration courses.
Right.
But the idea of figuring out, what do you like to do? What are you good at? What do you do where time just disappears? And how do you start to look at that as a way to see the opportunities that you can do that in a job? That work and leisure and work and the things that you like to do don't have to be separate. Studies show that the more closely you can align your personality traits, your skills and your interests to the environment that you work in, the more successful you're going to be. So the fact of the matter is, if we can start kids at an early age, seeing, what science is all about, what healthcare is all about, what engineering is all about, and sometimes we have these preconceived notions about what what those fields are. I think the better opportunity people have to have some more self-knowledge, so as they move forward, they can make some wise decisions. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes we go into something and it's costly. I can think of stories of people I know who've gone to law school and have decided afterwards, gee, they never want to be a lawyer.
Right.
And what a costly way to figure that out. So if we can provide educational opportunities early on, as Todd said, maybe it's just as good to rule something out as it is to rule something in. And then at the college level, whether it's our college or others, there are always opportunities for work-based experience that might get you interested in a particular field, whether it's through internships or field experiences. There's also the opportunities to take, again, career decision-making classes that allow you to explore and learn about what's going on in the workplace to maybe start to make some future career plans.
Let me give you an example, Carol, though, some of the things that Daisy and Todd had talked about. So In the old days, many years ago, career and technical education really was exploratory, really at the middle school level. That's really the time where people go around and try to learn about all different types of things, which is great. And that's kind of the way we have it in both districts right now. But there are a few examples where students have gone through, and let's say they become so interested in robotics. And that's something that both districts do very well. We have robotics competitions. Robotics are in our middle schools and our high schools. And so students get turned on and they get excited about robotics. They want to learn everything they can. An example that I'm going to use is maybe students put together a robotic kit and now they have to modify it to pick up something different or do another task. And so they actually have to design the parts that go on their robots, not just by hand, but by the computer. And so they use programs such as SolidWorks, which is a 3D engineering design SolidWorks program. And those students go through and they design it, and they might rapid prototype it on a 3D printer or cut it out on a CNC machine. But along the way, they're honing their skills. And so we have examples where students as young as 7th grade, 8th grade, have gone on and passed the industry certification, because you brought that up, for SolidWorks. And when they go to high school, you're seeing hundreds of students pass the industry certifications, not just for SolidWorks, but for all different content area industry certifications. And so it's an exciting time in career and technical education. And my point I'm trying to make is that it gets exciting starting at a young age. And then when they start honing their skills and they find something that they're really interested in, you know, the sky is the limit. People are starting their companies now. We know people who have started companies in middle school and in high school, and they're very successful. And the young entrepreneurs out there are building on those skills and knowledge that they learn at the middle and high school levels. So both Sarasota, Manatee County does a great job with career and technical education, and we're excited to be a part of the industry certification effort that you both have talked about.
And that's another example where these industry certifications are allowing students to gain college credit that in fact can take them to any college in the state. Those are statewide articulations. So I can pass a manufacturing skills certification exam and actually gain 12 credits, 15 credits of engineering college credit, which when you think about most programs are about 60 credits, that's a big chunk of college that you've already got under your belt.
Chunk of money too.
Yeah, a big chunk of money.
Big chunk of money.
So we, you know, those are, I think, the kinds of things that right now I think are really moving career and technical education more into kind of the forefront of the national trend of looking at workforce training and what communities can do to build their labor force. The world in so many ways is shrinking. And so to the extent that we can build that labor force and keep them here, they can be working for all kinds of companies, but still, you know, building our economy here in Manatee and Sarasota counties. And I think, you know, I really enjoy the fact that we get the opportunity as a region, because sitting right here is career and technical education. And really the other piece that we've all worked toward is how to build our programs to continue the transition to USF, Sarasota, Manatee. So, you know, one program that we already have is a hospitality, industrial management hospitality program that's a 2+2+2. So students start with you, they come to us, they move on to USF, and they finish up with a bachelor's degree. And so those are some other opportunities that we provide to sort of save money, give students the credit that they already have and deserve, and you know, support the needs that our current businesses have.
Couple of things that I just kind of want to hone in on for a minute, because I think we use terms that other people, the general public, don't really understand. Would perhaps, Todd, you clarify to us exactly what industry certification means? And then if we can, I just would like each of you maybe to share a program or two in your county, in your educational institution, that may be doing something really exciting, really different. Just as an example of more of what career and technical education is. Tell us about industry certification.
Sure. If you talk about industry certification, I think the conversation starts with, these are not instruments that were developed for high school students. They weren't.
Okay.
They were developed for working professionals to kind of signify and designate their skill set and an opportunity to stand above their peers. And so when a middle school student or a high school student is able to obtain that designation, that says that they have a skill set above what many working adults have.
Wow.
When you talk about a Microsoft Office specialist,
right,
that is not an easily gained certification. And what that does is when we talk about students moving between institutions, we talk about them moving out into the workforce, is when I say Microsoft Office, everyone immediately knows what Microsoft Office is. When I talk about ASE certification, we know what that is. We'd like to think that here in our community that State College of Florida and MTI and SCTI has some brand recognition, but our students very frequently leave this community. And if they go to Orlando and Orange County, I don't know that they know what SCTI is or what MTI is, but if they present a credential that says I'm Microsoft Office certified or I'm ASE certified, there's an immediate recognition that this student has a skill set that I can use in my business today.
I see, right.
Well, in fact, they can go anywhere in the country and recognize that, okay, I may not know what this particular school does, but I know if you've passed this particular exam, you have a set of skills that mean something.
And that's what you mean by articulation. Because you have this skill set and this industry certification, we will grant you 15 credit hours or 9 credit hours at our next institution.
You know, one of the things that we've learned over the years is, again, there's so much more need for ongoing training and everyone having to ratchet up their skills that, you know, to the extent that you can give people credit for the work that they've done, whether it's at the school or in business, we have credit for experiential learning. Let's do that because there's still a lot more work left to be done.
Well, and something I want to build on what Todd said. So we talked about industry certification, we talked about Microsoft Office, and so the state says that it takes 150 hours of content. That's what our guideline is, 150 hours for those industry certifications to show up on their list. When they started the industry certification project at the middle school and the high school level about 6 years ago, they came out with like 20 industry certifications. Today there's 450 and it's growing every single year. Wow. And so there are a lot of industries are saying, hey, we need employees in our industry, but they don't have time to train them. And so they came up with an industry certification, and now the schools are charged with having students leave industry certified. When you look at the number of students who are leaving industry certified from both districts, the number has skyrocketed. A few years ago, 20, 30, 40 students. This year we had 1,800 industry certifications passed, and Sarasota had about the same. And so our region is really doing a great job on knocking the ball out of the park as far as industry certifications, because we believe our students need to leave high school and technical institute as well, not only college ready, but industry certification ready for the workforce.
You know, I think one of the challenges that sometimes I think we face is that we're doing a better job getting them industry certified than sometimes some of our employers are with using and recognizing those industry certifications for what they are, and perhaps saying, okay, you get that, and you know, I'll give you a bump in pay, or you know, I recognize that there's a value to that. And so I think that's sometimes a challenge for us here in our region, is having that employer buy-in to the extent that we'd like to see.
There's another component to industry certification that I want to make sure we don't overlook, and that's the state licensure component of it, is that part of industry certification is also state licensure. And so the issue that Daisy discusses is that's really the best case scenario, is when there's a state license, when there's a credential that's required to go to work, it really drives students to training. And so when you talk about cosmetologists, and you talk about nurses and law enforcement officers, EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, that all falls in the realm of industry certification. So when we talk about that, it includes the state licensure, but in those fields, the credential is required, whereas in some fields, it's optional. And getting employers to value that, put it in their job posting to say, we're looking for someone who's ASE certified, someone who's Microsoft Office certified, and using that to drive that employment process. But I don't want to overlook state licensure, because it's a huge part of what we do there also.
No, but also cost. So to talk about costs at the middle school and high school level, people who are in the profession understand that there is a cost associated with industry certification. Both districts here provide that cost for the students, so that's something that we receive monies from the Department of Education. That money goes to pay for industry certification's cost for students. So our students can come through our programs and leave industry certified, and the school districts are actually the ones covering the cost from monies we receive from Tallahassee to make that a reality. So it's really a great opportunity here for students in both school districts to have this.
And then once they have that certification, again, there's statewide agreement as to how many college credits one would get for that. So you're saving those dollars too. And again, most of those are statewide. So whether you're coming, we want you to come to State College Florida, but if you decide to go into some other Florida state college, you can still get those credits. It still
articulates. That's great. Thank you. Talk about programs for just a moment. Some exciting program that you have at either Sarasota County Technical Institute or one of the high schools?
Yeah, you know, at SCTI, we have two different types of high school students who are on our campus. We have full-time high school students who attend Suncoast Polytechnical High School, and so they start with us in their freshman year. We also have half-time students who, in their junior year, spend a half day with us and obtain some skills. And we have a program for our half-time students for them to obtain a practical nursing credential and to become licensed by the state of Florida. And so that's something we're real proud of. It's a small class. We put 12 students in it every year, and they hold a practical nurse credential by typically August after their graduation. So they come back in another 3 or 4 months of study, and then they have a tough decision to make because they can continue on at the State College of Florida. They absolutely love those practical nursing students out of our Technical Institute, or they have a credential to which they can go to work. It's not uncommon to find in those classes people who have aspirations to go to medical school and much higher up that career ladder. So those are some great successes.
That's a great program. Thank you. Daisy?
I'll let Doug go. And then I'll
Very
finish.
good. Well, since you talked about that, I'll pick a different one. TV production. TV production is one area. We're in a great TV studio here, and TV production is one area that I'll use Southeast High School as an example. Southeast High School is a TV production that is, in my opinion, really second to none across the whole country. They've won the Skills USA National Champions for broadcast many times, more than once. The students go through that program and they come out so competent in their content area that when they enroll into college, they are advanced to the top of the class. Students get real world experience. They're out, they're filming, they're doing live, live broadcasting. They're broadcasting not only their sports live, but also content in their schools being broadcast live, which is something that would be rare to find really at colleges across the country. Very few of them actually do that for content other than sports. So TV production is one area that's really exciting. Culinary arts is another one, and we both do a great job with culinary arts. We talked about the 2+2 program. That's something that students go through, and we have two programs, one at Manatee High School and one at Southeast High School, in addition to what we have at MTI. That's a program that's very exciting. And probably another one I'll just talk about is engineering. The engineering programs are, we talked about a little bit at the elementary level, and those actually students can go through all the way from elementary to middle to high school. And when we say we're not just saying we're the best, we actually go out and prove it through career and technical student organizations, and students actually compete against other students across the country. And that's something we believe in to show that our students can actually when you say they're the best, you want to be able to prove you're the best. And they actually get behind that effort and move forward with showing that they are the best year after year. And so that's something that, both districts do a great job with that, and that's something that we think is very important here.
That's great. Thank you.
Well, I know we're probably running out of time, so I'm being the new kid on the block here in terms of career and technical education. I cannot just pick any one program because, I can't have a favorite. They're all my favorites right now.
You can't pick any of the four we just mentioned.
So we have close to 30 associate degrees, and many of them have certificates, so they may be 3 or 4 courses embedded within the 2-year degree. So it sort of gives students that feeling of I'm making progress. Sometimes it's just the certificate that I need because I can't finish up my full degree right along the way. But I think the thing that's really important for everybody to know is that we as a region really do work together to try to make sure that the education that we're providing for our students is meeting, you know, the global marketplace. And as we move forward, we have advisory committees that we often share in working with business and industry to have them review our curriculum to make sure we're teaching what they need taught in the classroom, and that we have the opportunities to provide our students with real life, you know, work-based experiences, whether it's through classroom visits, whether it's through industry tours, whether it's through internships for our students or for our faculty and our instructors. But I think people just need to know that whether they come to SCTI or MTI or SCF, that they're going to get a quality education no matter what level they're at.
That's great, thank you. And we really are about out of time. So I want to thank each of you for coming again. That is all the time that we have for this show. Again, I'll thank you, our guests, for joining us today and giving us insight on career and technical education, what it means, who it's for, and it sounds like it's just about for everybody. So join us next time as we leave the studio and explore some of our classrooms. I think you'll find that CTE isn't just shop or home ec anymore, far from it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Carol.